Those who have taken bath should say Suprabhat. The Kannada people are very smart in a sense to poke those people who have not taken bath. We have named many of our breakfast items as bath. Rice bath, khara bath, kesari bath, to poke the people that you should not have breakfast without having bath. Today I am going to take up a verse. It is called Sthita Prajna Lakshana. It comes in the second chapter. Few of them have been chosen and presented in our Jnana Yoga Shloka Sangraha. When Arjuna asks what are the qualities, what are the characteristics of a Sthita Prajna and Atmajnani, Krishna explains the 18 verses, the last 18 verses of the second chapter. This is the first verse in that set in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna opens his answer with this verse. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanyev atmana tushta sthita prajna prabhochyate. There are many more verses. In this verse, two characteristics of sthita prajna have been given. I may be able to cover one of them. The translation is quite simple. Jahati means to give up something, to forsake something, to be able to give up something. Prajahati means thoroughly giving up something. In Sanskrit, the prefix pra signifies thoroughness. Like laya means dissolution, pralaya means complete dissolution. So pra represents thoroughness. So prajahati means he has completely given up. Completely given up what? Sarvan manogatan kaman. All the mind-born desires have been given up. It looks a little absurd, therefore explanation is needed. So it says all the mind-born desires have been given up. So when it has been given up, yada means when it has been given up, and when a person is content within himself, by himself, atmani atmana tushtaha, tada, then sthita prajna uchyate. Then he is called as a man of steady wisdom. When you translate, it becomes steady wisdom, but that's in English we cannot present that word properly. Sthita prajna is one who is established in prajna, or the abused word in English, consciousness. Now, coming to the first characteristic, there are two characteristics given here. One is he has given up all desires. The second one, content within himself, by himself. Two characteristics have been given. So I'll try to cover the first one. Because giving up all desires looks absurd. How can, giving the desire to give up all desires in itself will become a desire. In yoga, this paradox exists, but if you study, for example, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, that fundamental confusion will get clarified. In Yoga Sutras, yoga is divided into two halves. Not explicitly, but if you look at it, you will realize that. When I took classes for regular YC students, I must have mentioned it last week. It is technically we call it as samprajnata and asamprajnata, but the why two steps is, in spirituality, this very lofty claim is made that you are neither physical nor psychological. Now somebody will tell you, if you read scriptures or if you attend a spiritual discourse, you will be told that you are neither the physical nor the psychological. And then you will ask, what am I? Then they will tell you, you are beyond both and you are already that. You have to realize what you already are. It's not that you will become something. You just have to give up that addiction which you have for the physical and psychological. Then you will see what you are, Atmanya. Then you will ask, we will obviously ask, okay, how to realize? How to realize that I am not the physical, I am not the psychological? Then people like Ramana Maharshi will tell, no, there is nothing need to be done. You are already that. You don't have to do something. Then we don't understand what they are saying. Then we will persist. No, tell us, we have to do something. Give us something to be done. Then we will realize. Then they will give you something to do. Now, ironically, that something which is being given to you to be done will have to be physical or psychological. Now, how can you do a psychological thing to realize that you are not the psychology? How can you do a mental thing to realize that you are not the mind? So that contradiction exists if you don't probe into the yoga philosophy. This contradiction will exist and you won't make sense of it. How to do something within the mind and transcend the mind? How to realize I am not the mind by doing something within the mind? Because whatever yoga practice is given is necessarily physical or psychological. They will ask you to do something with the body or the mind. So how can you do that and transcend the mind? That is the first part of yoga. It correlates to the Abhyasa part. Abhyasa means you hold on to something. When you hold on to something, that means you are doing something repeatedly. When you do something repeatedly, it automatically means that you are giving up all other things. Currently, our psychology is in such a state that it has thousands of hands. It has grabbed onto thousands of things, and many of them have become automatic, many of them have become what we call as subconscious. We don't even know we are holding it. See, when you hold something, and you forget that you are holding it, then it becomes a part of you. You start thinking that it is you. You no more think that you are holding it. Somewhat you get the delusion that it is me. Because you don't want to let it go. The holding has now become a compulsion. So currently our mental situation is such that we are holding on to hundreds of things, what we call as personality or whatever it is. We are holding on to certain things, but the problem is we don't know how to let it go. We are holding, we don't know how to let it go. Hundreds of things, not one thing. So therefore, yoga will first tell you, instead of holding on to hundreds of things, and then losing the ability to let go, because if it becomes a compulsion, you will start thinking that it is you. So instead of holding on to thousands of things, hold on to one thing. When you consciously hold on to just one thing, intensely, strongly and deeply, obviously you will have to let go of all the other 900 things, whatever you are holding. When you repeatedly train your mind to hold on to one thing, one specific thing, when it becomes deeper and deeper within you, it becomes subconscious also. The entire mind is now holding on to one thing. Then naturally all the other things which you are holding on to subconsciously will have to be let go. You have to let go of them. It happens even in the case of the body. For example, if there is tension within your body, tension in the sense there is some rigidity, the mental stress, whatever we call, has percolated to the body, and when you do Shavasana, your palms are not relaxed. There is some slight mild tension there. We see it very often when we give DRT classes. Your palms are not completely relaxed. There is some rigidity in your fingers. That implies that subconsciously you are still holding, and it is showing even in the physical body. So what can be done for this? Now, if I tell you, concentrate only on your right hand, tighten only your right hand, go on tightening only your right hand, concentrate on your right hand so much that your entire being is now in the right hand, automatically left hand has to become loose. Subconsciously you would have been holding your left hand earlier. Now if your entire energy is focused on the right hand, automatically you will have to let go of the left hand also. That subconscious tension has to be released. So this is the first half of yoga, concentrating on one thing. That is not the end of yoga. Concentration is not the end of yoga, it is the beginning of yoga. As a matter of fact, in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, the word yoga does not mean union. Yoga means union in a different connotation, in dictionary meaning, but the huge dhatu, where it comes from, the other meaning, the other connotation of the huge dhatu is concentration. There are different connotations for one dhatu, one particular dhatu in Sanskrit. So in yoga philosophy, the word yuj has to be used in the meaning of concentration. That is the first half of yoga. It is not the end of yoga. That is the first half. Or in technical terms, it is called as ekagra bhumi. Ekagrata is the first step of yoga. It is not the end of yoga. Because when you do concentration, automatically all the things which you are subconsciously holding have to be let go. You have to let go of them. Now when you do that, if I have to take that left hand, right hand example again, in the beginning both left hand and right hand were subconsciously tight. So now what you did is consciously you tightened right hand only. So whatever subconscious tension was in the left hand also got diffused. Now you are in such a state that now only the right hand is tight, but consciously tight. Now the first half has been achieved, all the subconscious, that holding up whatever was there within you has been diffused. Now you are holding on to just one thing. You are holding on to only your right hand, and only your right hand is tight, and it is consciously tight. If something is consciously tight, you can consciously diffuse that too. That is the second half of yoga, that is called niruddha bhumi. So you hold on to, you can apply that mentally also, you hold on to one thing in the beginning, concentrate your mind on one thing repeatedly, so that all the other garbage is dropped off. But after some time, when you are consciously holding on to one thing, since it is consciously holding, you can drop that too. When you drop that, you realize that it was not you. I was just holding it. You will realize that mind was not you, you were holding it. So to make this possible, we need to do something with the mind first, practice concentration first, so that you will transform, you will move from compulsive holding to conscious holding, and once it is conscious holding, you can consciously let go. So similarly here, if you apply that same framework here, it says, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan kartan, manogatan, when all desires have been given up. But giving up all desires is one desire. You will have to strengthen that one desire to reach a state which is desireless. You have to strengthen that one desire within you so intensely, so deeply, so strongly, that all other petty desires are simply shattered, they are shaken off, they are dropped. So when all the other desires are dropped, and you have just one desire, what is that desire? To reach a desireless state. Now you are consciously holding on to that desire, and that can be let go, because eventually it is you that you have to realize. You don't have to realize the desire. So the process of giving up all desires is not just one step, it is two-stepped. Initially you are longing to achieve a state, and to achieve a desireless state has to be strengthened to such an extent that all other desires should look petty to you. They should not become priority to you. It should not matter what food you are given, no, it should not matter all the other petty things of life, should not influence you much. It reminds me of a thing in North Karnataka, there is an ashram. I don't know the name of the ashram. In that ashram, students are trained in spirituality, yoga and spirituality, even traditional education. And there, the guru in that ashram, he tests the student in a particular way. What they do is, when the student has stayed there for a few weeks, after a few weeks, they will serve the students the rasam, which is made up of very bitter material, something like Amalaka. They will give a very bitter food which doesn't taste good at all. If the student says today food was not good, he will be thrown out of the Gurukula. The taste of the food, when it matters to the student, that means it is a priority to him. Food is given, fine. For survival you have to eat food. But when the quality of the food, the taste of the food, when that matters to you, that means the spiritual longing is not yet a priority for you. Food is a priority. So if one desire is strengthened, you can call it by any name, there are many names given to it, liberation and moksha and whatever, but Atmajnana is a simpler name because you won't attain anything new. You will, as our Guruji says, you will simply go back to your own home. You won't go somewhere else. So, when you strengthen that one desire, all other desires will drop off, and then holding on to this one desire is of no point. You can let go of that also, and you will realize that it was not me. That thing which I was holding was not me. I am different from the mind. So this is the framework in which yoga works. It is two-step. It is called as Samprajñata and Asamprajñata, or Sabija and Nirbija by various terminology. It is called. So these are the two steps, or another term given is Ekagra and Niruddha. Or in Yoga Vasishtha, if you go, they call it as, they say that you have to strengthen your Shuddha Vasanas. There are impressions within your mind, and initially you have to work with them. You cannot directly say, I will go beyond all impressions, all Vasanas. What is the first step? So the first step is you have to strengthen the Shuddha Vasanas. Or if you say it in terms of gunas, you have to strengthen the Sattva Guna. When Sattva Guna is intensified, Sattva Guna is non-sticky. To give a metaphor, if there is oil on your hands, what do? Do you directly apply water to wash it off? If there is sticky oil in your hands, how do you wash it? You put soap. When you put soap, that soap will extract the oil, it will make it non-sticky, but is it done? Now you have to apply water. So here, oil is like tamoguna, it is very sticky, it doesn't go off very easily. And when you are in tamas, if you directly apply sattva, it won't work. Like if you are sleepy, and if somebody asks you to directly meditate, what will happen? If you are sleepy and somebody asks you to sit calmly, you will go to sleep. Tamas cannot be countered with sattva. Tamas has to be countered with rajas. So when there is oil on your hands, you apply soap. That soap is like rajas to extract that tamas. But that also is not the end. After soap is applied, after oil also has been extracted, now you have to apply water. That water, applying water is sattvic. And that water is not sticky, it will leave you, it does not bind you in any way. The water leaves you on its own. That's the second half of yoga. So, holding on to one thing and then letting go of that are two steps of yoga. So when we read this statement, Prajahati Yadakaman Sarvan Pathamanodan, give up all desires. Don't directly try to jump to that final state of having no desires. That is not possible. Initially you have to strengthen one desire of reaching that desireless state, so that all other desires are weakened or dropped off. And eventually this one desire of reaching the desireless state will automatically drop off. So that is the process of yoga, that is the framework of yoga in which it works. We should not directly try to jump to the final state or try to imitate the final state. The other is Atmanya Vatmana Tushnaha. We will see it in coming lectures. Thank you. Om Asato